So for our study in family process, we were really interested in wanting to understand the predictors of parenting during the transition to adolescence. The adolescent transition is really, can be quite scary for parents. They have a lot of negative stereotypes around this time period and can sometimes be a little bit anxious about what it's going to have in store for them. And we were interested in what kinds of factors really predict how well parents navigate this adolescent transition in terms of their parenting behaviors. So what kinds of factors really influence whether or not they're able to maintain consistent discipline practices with their kids and standard setting practices, as well as what really helps them maintain a warm and positive relationship during this time period. In particular, we looked at whether or not some of parents' internal resources might matter. So for example, if parents feel that they have some sense of control over their lives, or they feel like they can make an impact on their lives, or have some sort of efficacy in their lives, we were interested in how that sense of perceived control affected their parenting behaviors. We were also interested in whether or not external resources like social support affected their parenting behaviors. So for example, how having someone they can talk to about their parenting concerns or reach out to for advice or guidance affected how well they parent during this transition to adolescence. And we found some really important things. Both parents' perceived control and social support mattered for their parenting behaviors, but they mattered for different types of behaviors in really nuanced ways. So when parents felt they had a sense of control over their lives, they were more likely to be effective in the more control-related aspects of parenting. Things like whether or not they were consistently disciplining their child or effectively setting consistent standards for their child. This really suggests that having some sort of sense of control over their lives might give parents the motivation to keep using discipline practices on a consistent, sort of regular way during this transition, instead of becoming more inconsistent or something like that during that time period. Social support, on the other hand, was also related to parenting, but that was more related to the emotional aspects of parenting. Things like helping parents maintain a really warm relationship and reducing hostile parent-child types of interactions. And this might be because social support helps parents really regulate their emotions and calm down and keep themselves really centered during interactions with their children. Now, interestingly, we found that these two factors, perceived control and social support, work together in some ways, especially for moms. So, for example, social support was really important for moms when moms felt they had little control over their lives. So if moms feel like they don't feel particularly efficacious, if they have social support, it can help compensate for that, meaning that social support can be particularly important for moms in general. And this may be because moms tend to use social support more for emotional exchanges and emotional support than fathers, and it may be really helpful for them, in particular, maintaining a real sense of calm in their interactions with their children. So we were really excited about these findings because we think they have some important implications for clinical work as well as for developing programs. And they really suggest that the type of resource you might want to improve or strengthen in a parent might depend a bit on the kind of parenting behavior that you want to affect. So for example, if you have a client that's really struggling with consistent discipline or setting effective standards with their adolescent, you may want to think about ways to help them feel more in control of their lives and feel more efficacious in their lives, and programs and practices that help them feel more efficacious may be more likely to help them maintain consistent discipline during this time period. On the other hand, if you're really concerned about a parent's ability to maintain a positive relationship with their child, you may explore with that parent ways to improve or enhance their social support, because that may be one way for them to really improve their relationship with their children. So one thing to note about this study, this was done on a sample of rural families who were primarily Caucasian in Pennsylvania and in Iowa. And we really don't know if these results are generalizable in other types of communities and other cultural groups, so that would be a really important and interesting way to follow up on this study and to see how broadly these findings apply across different populations.